Time to link my stream. Time to link my stream. Saturday day and we in the stream. My food is fucking peem. Come on. La 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 la. La 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 la. Gumbo time. I love just saying gumbo time. It's so fun to say gumbo time. Oh, I fucking love saying gumbo time, you guys. This is gonna be the best day ever. Alright, let's see what's going on in here. Saturday day and we in the stream. Don't believe me, it's Peem. Come on. I'm gonna start with unwrapping all my chicken, giving it a little pat down, and tossing it in some salt and peppy. Blabba doo bap, blabba doo bap, blabba doo 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 da doo doo doo. Gubbo. Gubbo fufo. Fufo gubbo. She's an GUMBO person, yes, and FIFO person too. We all know everybody. And GUMBO, we all know that one person who GUMBO and FIFO person. I think that this will be enough chicken for 5 people. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. So we got some chicken in the freezer, baby, heads up. A lot of whole chicken legs in the freezer. Which we can save for the Italian stew. With the rabbit that we have planned. Taigo Fofo has always woken up Gubo. That's actually so true. Tag and FIFO, who's always waking up Gubo and Fufo. Bebe bunny stew. That's right. That's a good spelling of stew. I like that a lot, baby. That's a really good way to spell stew. Bebe bonne stew. Oh, I love Gubo so damn much. Gubo's so good. How do they say it in Japanese? Yeah, it's really cute. It's really, really cute. You can't deny it. You gotta hand it to a word, comma, Japan. Stew is really, really cute. I think we're on our second towel here. Very nice. This towel served its purpose. Girls hit your poopin'. Girls hit your jalapenos. Girls hit your jalapenos. Vegetable picking missions. Oh, is it that one where like some guy in the chapel is like, "Hello, I am making awesome God stew. Help me make my awesome God stew." Is it sort of like that, basically? That's the impression that I get from Elin, is that every other NPC is just like a weird priest. Or at least every other NPC who needs a help with whatever. So I can get my fame up and do harder dungeons? That's damn right. That's actually damn right as hell. Shopkeepers. That also makes sense. There are nuns and priests too. I thought so. It's still Earth after all, or whatever it's called in Elin. I have a predator nun at my base. Oh wow, what is this? Who like fucks all the nimmels? Did you mean animals or is nibbles a thing in Elin? Because I would believe either. I would totally believe either. She fucking my nibbles. Alright. There's all our chicken waste. The first of many, many, many hand washings for this event. Animals. Eighth Terra. It's still 8th Terra. Okay. You're saying it's still like I knew this and forgot this. I don't think that I knew that, but that's okay. I'm not mad or anything. Alright. So we're gonna be doing a couple different fancier things here. I got my beautiful Dutch oven. I love this guy. I might not loan it to the neighbor girls anymore after what I had to clean out of it. It's still earth, which is wrong. I know it's wrong, I'm sorry. I got my Dutch oven here. I got my separate pan because I'm going to sort of go a little fancy with it. I'm going to be searing off all my chicken in here and then doing a little deglaze with water and then just sort of keeping that as part of a jus to add to the braise, just so we're keeping all of our flavor. Because that's nice to do. We all like flavor around here. Damn, I think I need some more peppercorns in this guy. Let's do a little bit of this. Yeah, drop it on the chicken board. That's okay. Black peppercorns. Yeah, you want to spill them everywhere. I kind of want to knock them out of that little crevasse there because it is annoying to clean them out of there, but oh, those are pretty good and stuck. Okay, well that's all right. Actually, I'm just gonna wash this whole fucking lid off. That is grodious. Everyone got that one piece of equipment that you keep on the stove and don't really think twice about until it is covered in crap. Yeah, so gumbo, we are going to do pretty much only chicken today. I do like adding shrimp to it, but we got some no shrimp folks in the house with us tonight for a beautiful dinner. Mixture of allergy and preference, but either way, happy to accommodate. That's probably good. For a clean that I'm going to do better off stream, that's fine for now. No sausage? Right, well the sausage is coming in later. The sausage is definitely happening. I did get a kielbasa. You know, usually you want like a nice firm smoked sausage. Ideally you want like an andouille, of course, but anything in that vague family will be quite nice. And I found that living in a Polish neighborhood, kielbasa is often the thing that is just always available. And it's definitely close enough. The sausage here, it's nice if the sausage adds a smoky flavor, but if you're not going to get like a proper smokiness, then just having a nice firm texture that helps soak up that extra flavor that's happening already is also really nice too. So it's all good. All right, we're going to season up our chicken. Really, really good. Probably do a second pass on this when we get some more, get like a little rotate happening on the chicken, the chimkin. I'd love to sort of toss these over without getting my hand dirty, but that's okay. If that won't happen, that's okay. I'm just gonna sort of get in there and sort of toss it around. It's okay. Like, it's not like vitally important that all this chicken sucks up all this seasoning, because there's gonna be enough seasoning to go around, baby. More than enough seasoning to go around, that's for darn sure. Yeah, just like wipe it off on each other. We gave it a little pat dry, so I'm not really concerned about any excess moisture being an issue. Yeah, just wipe it off. Just want to make it more or less even. It's okay. It's also okay if it's not. It's gonna all wear out in the stew. You're not gonna get any pieces of chicken where it's like, wow, that's inedible, because it's all pepper. But it's nice to try and make it a little eveny-steveny. That's actually looking pretty good. I don't know. I might put a couple of the naked pieces on the top here and then just sort of hit them with another little layer. And then I can start tossing them in our hot oil for a nice sear. A nice sear, chicken style. Got a couple of veggies prepped over there already. We'll be going over that when the time comes. We got a lot of stuff to do before the veggies even hit the pan. We're gonna do our chicken sear, and we're gonna build our fucking roux. Our French roux. It's Saturday day, and we're in the spot. Don't believe me? It's botch. Come on. That's a nice hot pan. That's all the oil you're gonna need for this. We're probably gonna use the rest of this. We actually gotta get more canola soon, honey. Just FYI. Yeah, Boppy and Cannoli. Cannolioli. You know her. You know Miss Cannolioli. Nice big bowl for the rest of our chicken to go into, the cooked chicken, or the seared chicken rather. We're searing, but we ain't cooking. Damn. Counter space. This can go up here for now. We'll do it like that. That's fine. Seared chicken can go in there. I'm gonna give this a clean down. We don't have the big jug. I think I used up the big jug. We have the big jug of olive oil, but I think I used up the big jug of canola oil. And we're gonna go a little light and a little fan on this. As always, if anyone has any questions, do not be afraid to shout me out. I would love to answer any and all questions about the dish, about just food, if anyone has any ideas or advice or help or wants help. Yeah, I think we don't have the, I think we're out of canola. I think, because I want to say Jesse moved it, and we have a big jug of olive oil and a big jug of white vinegar. But we are out of canola now, so just a heads up on that. All right, cool. Okay, so that's a really nice sear. I like that. That's really good. And this guy's still stuck, so we're gonna leave it. Turn up just a little bit. So we got a couple more vegetables to cut here. Nothing too crazy. Although I am gonna start turning on my Dutch oven just to sort of bring it up to temp, and then we'll get going on that as well. We are doing a lot of garlic, that's for damn sure. That is just the garlic garbage. And you know what? I might just get a garbage bowl out just because I think it'll be really helpful with how much stuff we're gonna have kicking around and fucking around. Yeah, that's a good piece of garbage to go in the garbage. Perfect. This might look like a lot of garlic. You would be correct. If it doesn't look like a lot of garlic, I'm very proud of you. All right, we're gonna do it like this. Get all this sorted. I think it's time to flip our chicken again. It's starting to smell very nice. Whoa, mamma mia. Alright, so that's nice browning, but it is also coming the fuck off, so that's a bit of a shame, but that's okay. That's a nice color. I like that nice, like, tawny piece there. That's cool. This is sort of like, you know, when you do skin on in a braise, the skin is just going to sort of slough off at some point. You just got to come to terms with that. And if it happens in the pre-sear, that is okay. We're going to crush all this garlic. I think what I like about gumbo so much is that it's a dish where there's really interesting things that are peculiar to it and things that I don't find myself needing to do for any other dish, and I think that's what makes it unique for me. A good example would be, I mean, the roux is so unique as well, and don't worry, we'll be getting to that, don't even worry about it. The roux is a really good example of something that is so specific to gumbo, or I guess a lot of Cajun cuisine, that I think is just so fascinating as someone who's not got a lot of history with that. I should say this recipe is adapted from Isaac Toop's recipe, which was on Vice Munchies several years ago. I think that guy's a bit of a chud, but he's honestly completely fine. He's like a harmless chud, you know, he's just like a guy. But his recipe for gumbo was very inspiring to me because I was just coming off of culinary school and I found a lot of the techniques interestingly different, but also so familiar to French cuisine that I thought it just felt really accessible in a way that I was very happy to try. And I've adapted it a little bit over the time, but it's still largely his shell. If you're familiar with that recipe at all, you might recognize a lot of this one, a lot of it in this, but some of the real peculiarities that I really love about this are stuff like the green bell pepper. Green bell pepper is something that I think is overhated, and it absolutely has a time and a place in the right meal, in the right context, which I think is awesome. So that's always a fun surprise. Using an ingredient that people often malign for whatever reason. And I'm not sure if this is common outside of like chef circles or whatever, but I've had multiple bosses tell me that like green bell pepper is simply worse. It's the unripe bell pepper. All of that is true. but I find that simply worse is so dumb. There's so few things in this world that are simply worse when it comes to ways to make and eat food. So that's a really good example of something where I like that this dish really demands it. It is also, I should say, cheaper to get the green bell pepper because it is quote-unquote worse. And I really love a way to utilize a cheaper ingredient that people don't appreciate, don't know how to use right. I think all those things are really interesting. Another thing that I like about this dish is that it calls for cooking beer, like rather than cooking wine, you know? But also, whenever you hear cooking wine, you basically think like I should get the cheapest bottle that is drinkable, like for a person, right? And that is true, and I tend to do that, right? Like it's really easy to get a $12 bottle of local whatever and use up half of it in the recipe and then drink the other half. And I find that to not be a demanding expense, you know? But for this dish, I really like, it calls for beer, and I like that it calls for a specific kind of beer, and it really rewards you to pick like a nicer beer, which I think is so fun. I do like beer. I care about beer. I care about the quality of my beer. So doing the same thing in my food, it just feels right. It just feels nice. I like it. Rather than like an Irish stew where it's like it's Guinness or bust, or if you have a version of Guinness that's better because Guinness is low-key kind of mid for what it is, then you can do that. There's definitely things like that, but I really, really, really like how this calls for like an amber ale. And I love amber ale personally. It's one of my favorite things to actually casually drink. When I was growing up, I used to have Rickard's Red all the time, until I was informed that it is a racist uncle beer, which apparently is true, although I wouldn't know that. My uncle is firmly homophobic and not racist. So, not my experience. Although I guess you could say that homophobic uncle beer is Stella Artois, if that's how we're doing it. But yeah, all told, not that important. So I'm gonna keep my ingredients that aren't cut yet here. We'll get our peels and garbage in there. A couple other key pieces here. Scallions, for sure. And jalapenos. Let's get the gloves out. We'll do the jalapenos up. Girls, cut your jalapenos. Girls, cut your jalapenos. Girls, cut your jalapenos. Taking our chicken here. Nice crust. Decent crust. Nice crust. Great crust. Really great crust on that side. That's good. And you can see how much fat we're rendering out. I do want to use that fat, which is why we're doing this before the roux. I will be using all 5 jalapenos. We're making a lot of dinner here. And I will be de-seeding the jalapenos because I don't like when there's seeds in my big stew. I want the stew to be so delicate and soft. So I want to be able to take the seeds out. Yeah, it is also a spice thing too, you know. When you're cooking for guests, always err on the side of less spicy. It doesn't really matter if you know who they are or not. It's just a nice thing to do, I think. Unless you're like, come on over for spicy fucking food. Which is fine. But I like these seeding the jalapenos here. I just like the texture a lot. And I'm going to be adding cayenne pepper, so it will be spicy anyway, so don't worry about all that. But the jalapenos are going to help back up the green bell peppers here because they're going to have a really nice vegetal texture and vegetal quality to their flavor that I really value in this dish. Come to Spice World, and I shall enchant you with my spicy ways. And there's only one big difference to how I'm doing it today to how I would normally do it, and that is really just the omission of shrimp, either in the form of shrimp stock or in the form of shrimp that you add in at the end. Either way, I do like shrimp in my gumbo. I will survive without it this one time, and it's worth it because we don't want to make anybody sick. So But I initially started making this as well because I got the recipe from Isaac Toops, and I also realized at my work, I was working at the fish store at this time, that I would all the time be seeding and peeling shrimp for people, and they would, I said seeding, my bad. The shrimps don't have seeds. I would all the time be like cleaning and peeling shrimp for people, and they would never take the shells home with them, although when you pay for whole shrimp, you have to pay for the weight of the shells, so it is just money that you're leaving in the store. But if they don't want it, if they don't know how to use it, you know, all the more for me. I would take home all my shrimp shells. Actually, usually, we would sort of fight each other to see who gets to peel the shrimp because we all wanted to take home the shells. That was how you know we were a real family environment back there. It was beautiful. What a beautiful time. And I would take home the shrimp shells and I would freeze them, and then I had enough saved up, I would make a nice shrimp stock, and I would use the shrimp stock to make an awesome gumbo. Today we'll be using just like some random chicken bouillon. It's just a good go-to. It'll do just fine for what we're doing here today. I did splurge on one of my nicer favorite beers, which is going to help us a lot in the cooking of the dish. It's going to help with our depth of flavor. So we're still going to have a lot of nice food happening here. So don't worry about none of that. That sounds like it's time to flip. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mambo. I love how fucking uneven our whole stove is. Look at how much tilt you got in this pan here. It's crazy. So damn annoying. Our big guy's going right across the bottom in that big pool of fat there. Beautiful. Gonna be doing that here. And this one here. And I would like to, you know what? I'll just be patient. I'll just be patient. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I'll just wait. I'll just wait. Gumbo, gumbo. Omatsuri gumbo. Oida oida, yeda yeda. Omatsuri gumbo. And when you make gumbo, it really is a matsuri every time, let me tell you. Do you think Super Creek would eat my gumbo? Do you think she would eat this gumbo? Chat, tell me and be honest with me. Would Super Creek eat my gumbo? I'd like to think that she would. I'm your Super Creek. That's so nice, baby. Wow. Aww. Awesome. Actually, I'm gonna keep this for when I dice up the jalapenos. That's actually a smart call. And this is gonna take a little while to heat up. So, oh, the heat's already on. I actually forgot that I did that. So we're gonna turn it back down to minimum here. We're gonna keep letting it heat up. Okay, I'm glad I looked at that. That was a little embarrassing. All right, we're gonna do 3 scallions here. We're gonna do the whites and the aromatics. We're gonna do the tops on the top later. Pretty classic stuff, nothing crazy. All right, so first of all, square them up, bang, garbage, and then for the greens versus the whites here, we're gonna go right there. These will keep. And then we'll just start chopping these up in a second here. First, garbage goes in the garbage. Easy peasy. Life is so good. It's easy breezy when you're this fly. Alright, we're gonna start chopping up our jalapenos here. All that can go there. All of our garlic. Actually, we'll do the garlic first because they're gonna be harder to fuck around, I think, later. Alright, so... And for the garlic, I'm gonna start off with a rough chop here. And we're gonna just start mincing it all the way down. And when you're doing a full mince, it's not that big of a deal how big you start off with. It'll be okay. Oh, it sounds like the chicken might be good to flip. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, wow. So nice, my sear. I think we got room for our last guy as well. Very cool. Right in there, love. Okay, amazing. That's step one, just about complete there. Pretty cool. Alright, and now we're just gonna keep going rough pass, back and forth, back and forth. So nice, my pan-seared chicken and garlic with slice, baby. So nice, my sear. I nibble on her ear. Wow, the new Echo 2K album is crazy. I can't believe he says all that. Anyone here remember Gob, the Canadian pop punk band from the mid-2000s, early 2000s? Give Up the Grudge? That's a classic. Anyways, so nice, my sear. I nibble on her ear. Why you gotta judge everybody that is here? Anyways, that would be if I was Gob and I was in chat right now. I would say something like that. Yeah, that needs a little bit longer. We'll give it a little bit longer. Alright, here comes the real marathon. I'm going for a pretty fine dice on these, but it is honestly not a big deal. I do find that the jalapeno skin should just be cut pretty small. It does get kind of tough. It is going to cook down, but it does just get and stay kind of tough sometimes. So keeping it to nice small pieces can really help alleviate that feeling of like, why did I just bite into plastic in the middle of this stew? Sort of taking like 3 halves, doing a little julienne, and then just going right across all of it here. So simple. Anything in this vicinity of fineness is going to be totally acceptable. Yeah, that's all good. And we'll start dumping it all into here. We're gonna have 2 stages of aromatic. We're gonna have our bold, our stronger aromatic. So we got our Trinity over there. And then we're gonna have our more delicate guys here, which is the scallions and the jalapeno and the garlic. More prone to burning and scorching. So we're gonna save them until the big tough guys have sort of taken up the brunt of the heat, and then it's safer for the little guys to join the party. It's just like real life or Dota 2, whichever one helps you understand it better. But basically, that pot over there, I've got onion, and I've got celery, and I've got green bell pepper. And the onion is sort of like Tide Hunter, and the green bell pepper is sort of like Earth Shaker, and the celery is sort of like earth spirit, right? And then here I've got garlic and jalapeno, and the garlic is sort of like the garlic is sort of like Clinks or some other squishy guy, and the jalapeno is sort of like Invoker or another squishy guy, you know? So you gotta initiate with your tanks, and then you gotta come in with your carries. And garlic is kind of like a culinary carry if you think about it. And we're loosey-goosey, and we're flippy-dippy, and that's beautiful. Yeah, and these are getting some nice color. This one is looking great, actually. And then this one, I'm just gonna give her a second in like the nice fatty part at the bottom of the pan there. And then we're all done. We can start siphoning off the fat. Can we have Venomancer stew? Baby, that's borscht. You're the one that makes the Venomancer stew around here. Yay. I would give nothing more than to make Venomancer stew with you for the rest of my venomous gale. Alright, cool. Beautiful. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's the rest of our jalapenos. Very nice. Venomous Gale lasts 4 seconds. That's true. That's true. That's true. Well, we don't have to take it so seriously. I don't think it's a strict rubric for how we should live our lives. It may simply be a guiding light that will help us. Okay. Alright, we're almost done here. Just one more bunch of jalapenos to go. And then we are on to the scallion bits, which are going to take no time at all. Really quick though, I think that might be our chicken all done. Yeah, looking very nice there. Looking very nice. And yeah, that's just gorgeous. That's just gorgeous. And that is going to go off now. Okay, cool. So, this is getting nice and warm. I'm gonna finish off the jalapenos and then we'll start building up our roux, which is so exciting. It's the coolest part of this dish. And if you haven't seen it before, I do recommend giving it a look. It is just so cool. It's gonna happen a beautiful combination of slow and fast. And there's nothing else quite like it. It's honestly, I think, my most favorite and relaxing thing to do in the kitchen is just make the roux for this gumbo. So exciting. Hey, welcome, welcome. Yeah, if you're not familiar with like a good Cajun roux, then get freaking ready. Hold on to your butt. It's gonna go absolutely crazy in here. Alright, that is the last of our jalapenos, so the glove may come off now. And we're gonna go into our pan with two things. One, a bunch of rendered chicken fat here, and you know I'm keeping that. Beautiful. We're gonna leave the pan available because I'm gonna deglaze that fond later and sort of toss it into the gumbo as well. Once you've got more of like a actual stew cooking in there, we'll be doing that. I'm just gonna give this edge a little wipe so we don't start any fucking grease fires in the stovetop. This is hot, by the way, if you're doing this, so be careful. But if you're goated, then don't worry about it. Keep gambling. All right, that can go in there. And we're gonna go in with, like, honestly, I think basically all of this canola. And yeah, for a usual roux, you don't need to use canola. You don't want to use canola. But that's what makes this so special, is we're gonna take this thing so hot that we're gonna need a really high smoke point fat. Butter is not gonna cut it. Butter is gonna turn our shit into really bad stuff. Butter is going to ruin our life here. All right, let me just keep chopping up the rest of these little aromatics here while we're waiting on that to just finish off. And one last clove of garlic I almost forgot. All right, jalapeno and garlic, all done. The scallions, I'm gonna go nice and fine on these. So I'm just gonna do that thing, splitting them all down the middle there. And then I think just on here, one more pass. And that'll be good enough to go. And we're pretty warm here, and I'm gonna keep my heat right around just below mid. Because this is a very sensitive procedure here. It's gonna happen quickly over a long time, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but stay with me. The first thing I'm doing here is adding enough flour until I have like the right texture. You can see the fat here is hot enough that our flour is immediately sort of sizzling and hissing a bit. I'm gonna start off with like, I don't know, 2 and a bit good sized spoons, and I'll sort of get this incorporated and wet in the flour and the fat here, and then we'll sort of see what our texture looks like, because we got about, I'm gonna say, 1/4 cup of fat probably. We're gonna want probably close to 1/4 cup of flour, but we want it to sort of first fully incorporate into the fat, and we're gonna need a lot more flour than this for sure, because we're looking for a particular kind of texture where it looks like there's basically no parts that are exclusively oil, and there's also no parts that are exclusively flour. And you'll sort of see what I mean in a second when we get to that texture. It's gonna be very like wet, sandy kind of thing, and it's going to be awesome. So we're gonna add some more flour. And actually, I think sprinkling it from the bag like this is really good. It's gonna help, you don't have to sift it, but if you're just putting in the big spoons like earlier, it's really easy to get clumps. So doing it like this is a really good way to avoid your larger clumps. And I think a fair bit more is in order here, yeah. Let's go with this, and we'll give this a good stir around and see where we're at. We're gonna need a little bit more, I think. But not too much more. We're definitely getting there. If you see any larger chunks, you don't want to break them up for sure. Just keep in mind, we're looking for more of a solid texture. So we're gonna add some more flour, but just make sure you have no clumps before moving on, because getting all the clumps out at this stage is gonna make the rest of this infinitely easier. So do not rush this part. Be nice and careful with this part, and then the rest of it will just be so easy. That's probably enough. Always worried about the clumps. Yeah, I mean, it is the one thing that's tricky. I would say that, like, as long as you keep working it, you don't need to use a whisk. And also, depending on what kind of roux you're going for, you're just going to have clumping as a natural process of how the roux reduces. Because essentially what's happening is, like, the flour has lots of little granules that are all sort of individually cooking and exploding. And those granules are thirsty for water, and oil is not water. So oil is going to activate those granules and sort of like expand them. And that expanding will cause temporary clumping. but that will go away with more time and heat and processing. And ultimately, I find that the darker the roux you're making is, the less you have to worry about clumps, because it'll just be seeing more heat over more time and expanding and growing. And it sort of helps work out all the problems you might have. Yeah, if you're doing like a blonder roux like this, then it definitely can be an issue, and I would recommend using a whisk. But I just like the simplicity of the wooden spoon for this. I'm also going to use the wooden spoon once we start adding vegetables into here and start tossing everything in the roux. So it works out for me. But yeah, definitely, I mean, there's no reason to not use a whisk if you are concerned. It is a good habit to have. But when you are very skilled, you may begin using just the wooden spoon and doing one less dish. Haha. But yeah, if you're making a sauce, you're going to use a whisk anyway, so you may as well. But for the base of a dish like this, I'm not really using a whisk for anything else. And once we add any of our solid ingredients, you'll see that I can't really whisk nothing in there. So I'm gonna add a little hint more flour, but we're just about at the right texture. And then we just have to wait a bit. Wait, pay attention, and stay woke. A little more, that's about good. I'm gonna call that good. It is very possible to add like too much flour here. And if you add too much flour, the skilled pro can use a spoon only. It's very true, it's very true. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think even pros sometimes be like, you know, kind of wish I'd used the whisk. But in the interest of showing off for the computer, definitely going to be going spoon only today. So it looks more like, it's still pretty liquidy, but we have a pretty uniform consistency here, right? Like, the flour and the fat are not actually going to like incorporate together exactly. It's sort of like we got like an oobleck situation here almost, where the flour is going to sort of sink through the fat and sort of stick to the bottom and then get that color. And we're just going to keep stirring it to make sure that it doesn't get that color too quickly or too unevenly. But this is exactly what we're looking for here. This nice sort of like loose roux, but if you scrape it, you can see the residue we're leaving on the bottom there. And that's exactly what we want, because that is what's going to cook our flour until we have a like beautiful chocolate brown roux. I sort of, my little touch point for this is I sort of aim for like 50% cocoa dark chocolate is sort of the color we're going for here, and it's gonna look fucking crazy if you haven't seen a roux that dark before. But you gotta trust in the process, it's gonna be awesome. Alright, so we're at this nice point where I think everything is going nice and slow. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit while I finish cutting up this scallion here. Wooden spoons are just great. Wooden spoons just feel good. There's lots of things that only a wooden spoon can accomplish, you know? To this day, I've still never been able to deglaze a pan with like a metal implement. It just feels fucking bad. It feels so bad every time. Also, welcome, welcome. All right, that's a pretty good little chop on our scallions there. That's our last delicate, sort of like hard carry, if you will. I think the scallions, I would say, in our Dota analogy, are more of like a necrophos here, because you have these for the final shot. So you're gonna want to let your scallions get a lot of last hits, is sort of the issue here. That's sort of like how I would describe it in like Dota terms, you know? Alright, so you see we're getting that nice brown color, and we're gonna be going so much farther than this. So as long as nothing is burning and we're stirring all that color back in, all that color is going to reincorporate, and it's going to be just fantastic. I would say you kind of can't like leave this untouched for longer than 2 minutes at any point now. So if you got stuff to do on the side, you better be real smart about it. But also, it's not as unforgiving as people like to say. I understand that everyone should err on the side of caution, but like, let's be real, if you turn away for 30 seconds, you will be fine. As long as you keep your heat at a nice medium low and you're staying nearby. I would say don't leave the kitchen I would describe it not as a don't leave the stove, I would say don't leave the kitchen. How about that? Sort of wall-to-wall scraping, making sure we're covering all of the bottom here. But this is what I like about the wooden spoon versus the whisk, is that when you're in this stage, the whisk is going to have trouble getting contact flush with the bottom of the pan, because the whisk comes to like a bulbous point, you know? So I find that for getting contact with the bottom of the pan here, an edge of a wooden spoon is going to do the exact thing you're looking for. I love this process. You can see the colors start to change in real time. It's just fantastic. Let me get a drink of water and pick up my phone so I can talk to you guys while I'm working here. Oh, hey, what's up? It's Gumbo City. Oh, baby, it's Gumbo City. Hey, Mom, how's it going? Let me just close some notifications. Yay! I'm glad you're at home. I'm glad you're okay as well. Can I get some feast modes in the chat for my mom? Feast mode activated. Hashtag hungry. Feed me more. Love you, Mom. Oh, cool. Okay, is it like a end of term a cappella show? What's the scoop? My sibling is having an a cappella show. My sibling runs a cappella programs actually, and has been doing it for a long time and is getting like pretty ridiculously important and proficient at them, so really cool. God, I think it's been like 6 or 7 years now at this point, right? Ooh. Only performing. Oh, that's good. Taking a little step back. That's cool. 2017, 8 years of a cappella, baby. 8 years on the ones and twos. Feast mode activated. Hashtag singing. HarmonizeMeMore.com. So you can see we're getting to like, I would call this caramel on our scale of like colors that you can name, you know? And you can see that the liquid sort of remains just separate enough from what's happening at the bottom of the pan. The relationship between the fat and the flour as the roux develops and evolves is just so fascinating. And I don't know enough about chemistry or physics to have better ways to describe it, but I'm always entranced by it. It always feels a little different every time. It's so cool. We're sort of approaching like our milk chocolate phase here as well. And like I said, we're going for like a surprisingly dark brown. And I will say at this point, there's a reason that I was careful to prep up all of our first batch of veggies here before doing anything involving the roux. Even leaving that scallion to the end, that is an expert only maneuver, so be really careful when you pull that shit. Yeah, it's getting awesome. I love this color so much. And the smell that this gives off is just unbelievable. It is like this enchanting kind of like just pure toastiness that feels like, do you know how like when you were a kid you're like, wow, sour candy is so great, it's crazy that there's a magic thing that makes sour candy so good, and you grow up and it's like, oh yeah, that's just citric acid. Yeah, I know, the Maillard reaction is what browns the flour, but I mean like the way that this looks sort of like a suspension of the flour in the fat. Like, I don't think it is a suspension, but I don't really know. But like, it's the texture more that is so entrancing to me here. But like, the smell of this is like if you had a chemical like citric acid, where citric acid is just, this is what sour food tastes like, and every other version of sour food is either a dilution of citric acid or a slightly different version of citric acid. This is like if there was a citric acid, but for like toastiness. It's kind of surreal. If you haven't made a dark roux like this, I do recommend trying it. It is just like, I find it so soothing. And I really love it. That cream, yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. So we're just sort of passing, we're still in like the milk chocolate territory here. And basically, like, there's a lot of depth for your roux, right up until, I would say at this point, if you are starting out, this color is totally acceptable. If you feel like, I don't want to take this any further, I'm worried about what might happen. As long as you're around the milk chocolate phase, you are good to start your gumbo. I, however, I'm gonna go just a couple steps further. Because I got the time, I got the patience, and I want to do it. We're making it happen. And this is also where, like, once you've got everything cut and everything seared off, this is where the majority of your time is going to be taken up. Like, after this part, it is pretty smooth sailing from here. Gumbo's a neat dish. I think I was describing earlier in the stream that I got really interested in it initially because I was coming out of culinary school, and it has a lot of things that are very familiar to a classic French technique set, but also are very different from a classic French technique set. And I found the combination of tradition and like, you know, mixing it up very interesting. And as we keep going here, it almost feels like the fat layer is getting more opaque with little bits of that flour getting smaller and smaller and more exploded open and more like diluted throughout the fat. And the fat in the flour, it's still sticking to the bottom. It's still sort of settling out and getting that nice cook, but it's starting to feel more and more like a uniform thing. It's really cool. I love this shit so much. So I think now we're starting to exit milk chocolate, I would say. We're entering like real chocolate territory. I would say we're looking at like a sort of a 10-20% or something like that, right? Once you're passing through 50-60% cocoa, that's where I will call it, and we'll toss in our veggies here, right over there. Oh, hey, baby. Look at our roux. It's so sick. This is my favorite thing to do. I love this.
The like kind of popcorny smell is so
yes,
crazy.
It's popcorny. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a kind of toastiness that you really don't get a chance to explore elsewhere. It's so cool. And this flavor will just enrich the entire stew, and it's just this magical base of flavor that, you know, not a lot of other dishes and techniques have. It's really cool. Smoking weed? Yeah. Yeah, we're smoking weed, baby. Alright, let me get my phone back. Best viewers, how do you block this? How do you block this goon? Ban. Awesome. I need to make you a mod, baby. I keep forgetting to do that. I think the issue is I can't do it in the stream. More than 3 minutes to thicken a roux. Creoles and Cajuns created this own branch of curry on first principles. Yeah, it's really fascinating. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're making a roux to thicken a sauce, it only has to cook for like 5 minutes. Like if you're making bechamel, you don't want this much color because it's gonna make your cheese sauce brown, which is not really, you know, not a lot of people would go for that, I think. I'd be curious to try it, honestly. Saying it out loud, I'm like, wait, that might go fucking crazy, but, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And with, like, even chicken gravy, right? Like, the thing about roux is that traditionally, you want to match the color of your roux to the color of the liquid that is going to be the base of your sauce. So you would define your roux as being either bechamel, or velouté, or espagnole, which is the traditional French term for like a rich brown gravy or brown meat-based sauce. So this is fully in like espagnole territory now, but what makes gumbo so special is it's a different thing. So we're gonna take it just a little bit past espagnole and right into gumbo. And I will say as well, if you ever made candy before at home and you know that the hot sugar is unbelievably dangerous, this is exactly the same. I probably should have mentioned that sooner. This stuff will melt your fucking hand off. So be really careful when you're doing this. It isn't as sticky as sugar, so it doesn't pose quite the same danger. But when we throw in the vegetables, you will see just how hot this mixture is right now. Because the thing that happens, we're going to toss those vegetables in, and that whole bowl of vegetables is going to sweat completely through in like 3 or 4 minutes. It'll be completely sweated through. I mostly use roux to make weird fake vegan cheese sauces. That makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I will say, I think that you could make a fantastic vegan gumbo with like a mushroom gravy base. So if you have a nice mushroom bouillon that you like, I would give this a shot. We'll get into more detail on the vegetables that go in later. I prep those off stream. But if anyone's curious, I will go into good detail about the aromatics here and what I like about them and which things I would say are non-negotiables. Okay. I love this color. I really like where we're at. And I don't want to run into a battery problem on my camera like last time, so I'm going to say we're good to go. Phase 1, aromatics, hard aromatics. This is green bell pepper. See, look at how hot that roux is. It is crazy in there. That is onion and celery and green bell pepper. At this point, you want to get something to help grab the edge of the pan, because if this is a cast iron, like Dutch oven thing, the handles are going to just start getting wicked hot. So now, I'm not going to add any salt yet. I just want to coat all of our aromatics here in this ripping hot roux. But I would say that basically, everything up to this point is non-negotiables for a gumbo, and then anything like proteins or like stock, all of those flavors I would say are pretty malleable. But if you want the gumbo experience, this is the absolute bare minimum for like any variation on gumbo, I would say. We'll talk about the other stuff in. There's still a lot of layers of flavor to go here, but we'll talk about that as we get there. But yeah, so green bell pepper, it does have to be green. The bitterness, I think, is really important, and it's gonna help complement the sort of like the more rich toasty notes of the flour here. So I would say that the level of like the bitterness mellows out, but it just helps add like a very aromatic base that can't really be replicated with a different color of pepper, because they'll be too sweet. The Holy Trinity, that's damn right. Damn right. Alright, I think now that we got a full even coating, we're gonna go in with a little layer of salt. Nothing crazy. I'm gonna start turning this pan back on as well, just to get our deglaze going, because we're gonna be entering the adding liquids phase in about 10 or 15 minutes probably. So keeping our little handle towel ready. Really good tossy toss here. Awesome. I'm gonna go a bunch of, let's get this in the pocket here. There we go. Bunch of black pepper. And I'm just gonna add this for spices now. We're gonna add the rest of our aromatics in a second. And then I'll show you the rest of our sort of dry spice retinue here. And then we're gonna have a couple of wet ingredients for our deglaze session. Hey baby. That's right. Now this smell, once you have the roux and then the peppers and onions hit it, this smell is unbelievable. This is one of my favorite smells in the kitchen of all time. I'm not exaggerating. This is one of the most unique sensory experiences you can have just cooking dinner at home, and I think it is just unbelievably cool. So this, if nothing else, make roux, get to this stage, smell this, and then you can do whatever you want. But I just want you to smell this. Okay. Oh, cool blimey. I wish you could smell this right now. Magical flavors are happening. Wow, amazing. All right, stage 2 of aromatics go in after about 3 or 4 minutes there. This is our garlic and our jalapeno and the whiter bits of the scallions. I just, you know, once the hissing is sort of quieted down, toss in the more delicate guys here. Once you're gonna smell that garlic start to bloom, then you're gonna go in with your dry spices. And we have a couple more important dry spices to add. Nothing groundbreaking, but one little twist actually that I am a big fan of. Especially if I'm doing this with shrimps or seafoods at all, I'll definitely be a big fan of adding in, that's right, my big fucking container of Old Bay seasoning. So I'm gonna grab a couple things for our dry spices here. We're gonna go with some Old Bay. And this is sort of in lieu of or in addition to like paprika. I'm not gonna have any seafood in today, but I am gonna miss not having seafood, so I'm sort of adding it for that reason. Okay, that's sort of in the way. Paprika. Oh, man, that's so annoying. Okay. I'm gonna move the ramen out of here, put it down there. Alright, well, that's what I get for not having a closed container of coriander seeds. Alright, we're gonna just put those there. Pissing me off. Okay, well, anything on the cutting board we're good to save. Here, let me just deal with this in a second. Let's get everything else straightened out first. Paprika, Old Bay, garlic powder. We want a lot of dried oregano, which is gonna be up here. Yeah, beautiful. Time for a good stir. And then basically, this is where you sort of dial in your spice level using cayenne pepper as well. I do like to de-seed my jalapenos, mostly for like texture. I don't want to be biting into a seed in the middle of my awesome food, but I still want it to be spicy, so I will be adding in a good amount of cayenne pepper, and that is of course where you get to decide how spicy you want it. You know what, I've had these for so long, these are just fucked to me. I paid $1 for this much coriander seeds, that whole bag, like, I don't know, a jillion years ago. End of an era. It had to happen. Well, where were you when the coriander seeds arc had payoff on Mallory's menu? All right. You're gonna put in the file. Put in the file. Help me out with that. Help me out with that. I don't think I've heard that term before, actually. Gumbo filet. You know what? I'm gonna be completely 100% with you. I'm just gonna Google that and see what that is, because I don't think I know what that is. So the answer is probably no. I probably know I don't be putting that in. Like I said, this is not by any means traditional. It's just the one that I've liked to make the most at home. But yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out exactly what that is. All right, we're gonna clean the knife off real quick. Alright, cool. Okay, so you can start to see we're getting the water out of our vegetables here, and they're sort of reintegrating. And that means we're really properly sweating out. And so this is now looser because our fat and our flour in that roux is starting to get a little bit more tender now that we're getting some liquid reintroduced in the form of these vegetables, right? So you want this to go for a little bit. And then we'll add in our dry spices. This is getting to be nice and hot. So I'm going to deglaze this puppy with just water. And this is gonna make a great addition to our chicken stock. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna pour our chicken bouillon into here and boil up our chicken stock all in this pan. That actually is kind of a genius idea I just had. All right, this stuff is one of those, another one of those, and then we're gonna add about 3 cups of water to this, probably something like that. Measure and cut. About 2 cups of water. Cool. And honestly, we'll start it there. We'll start it off there. Okay, I think we're at a nice spot to add in our dry spices now. This is starting to move really, really good. You can see it's a lot looser than initially when first added in. We're getting that liquid out of the vegetables, which is gonna help rehydrate our roux and just make these steps a lot easier. This is a lot of flour, right? We're gonna have to do a lot of work to integrate this flour into like the body of the stew, and getting all the water out of those veg is a great first step. Ground sassafras leaves. Whoa, that's cool. Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you for Googling it for me. I know I said I would do that, but I got sort of caught up there. Also, thymy taste. Oh, see, I love thyme. Actually, thyme is about to go in a major way. But no, that sounds very interesting. I would love to try that sometime. A good amount of garlic powder. I think I've said this before, but garlic, like fresh garlic and garlic powder are very different things, and they both do very different things, and they're both best friends, and they love to work together. They're not like part and parcel replacements for one or the other. They are actually really good friends, and they share hand cream and stuff. Oregano. Honestly, a good amount of oregano in there. And then, this is my little thing, I like a little bit of Old Bay in that bitch. I would go a little less Old Bay than paprika, because if you think about it, this is sort of splitting your difference between paprika and garlic powder with like a third other thing. And cayenne pepper? Chili powder. Chipotle. Huh. I'm gonna go with a chili powder in lieu of what seems to be our normal cayenne pepper. But it's kind of potato, so it's all good. This stuff is a little bit hotter though, so I'm gonna be a little gentle with it. We can also always add to taste, right? I got some good friends coming over, and I don't want to overwhelm nobody. And this is where we go with another big fat pinch of salt. And then, I shit you not, about 50 cranks of black pepper. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Beautiful. Dry spices get mixed into our beautiful little sort of soupy thing here. And we're pretty soon going to go in with what I'm calling our semi-dry spices, which are really just like liquids, but they're in smaller measure than other liquids. You'll see what I mean in a second. But yeah, this sort of texture where everything is moving really nice and fluid, really, really perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. Oh, so awesome. Great. We got our chicken stock ready to go here. And then you might be saying like, what the hell do you mean semi-dry? I mean tomato paste, which is a thing that is semi-dry. So The oregano and the tomato paste are there to remind you that Italians helped build New Orleans, baby. Hashtag Mia Familia. And now, because it's a chicken dish, in addition to the Worcestershire sauce, I'm gonna add a little Maggi as well, which I would describe as sort of like, essentially it's fish sauce, but it's for chicken. This is fish sauce, but for a chicken dish. I am also going to add a fish sauce. Where is it? Oh, here we are. Cock brand fish sauce, nothing finer. This is really my way of saying I miss having shrimp in here. And by the time it cooks all the way out, no one's gonna even know it was in there. The German fish sauce, pretty much. It was developed in Germany, but I always think of it as being a big part of like Indonesian food because of the colonization, where that stuff ended up. And then Worcestershire as well, a little bit of that. You know, like good like sort of 10 dashes of both thing. This is also where like soy sauce is a great umami booster to add into a dish like this, where it's not going to taste like soy sauce, it is going to just develop that layer of flavor from those things, if that makes any sense. And you see we got a nice sort of like loose, like it's not gluey, it's not sticky, it's very thick and it's very solid, but it is still flowing, you know what I mean? This is pretty much spot on. This is a good cue that your vegetables are nice and sweated out, and the aroma is going to serve you well when this, when the whole thing starts coming together. So, we're gonna give the tomato paste a couple minutes here, just to fully incorporate and cook out. Keep in mind, we've added basically no liquid here, except for whatever was in the vegetables, and then the couple splashes we just added. So this is still mostly like a solid binder of fat and flour, and that is gonna start to like super cook anything that's in there. It looks like it's very deep, but it is still gonna cook out anything we put in pretty quickly. So it won't take that long at all. Don't be worried about burning anything. Also, the roux is gonna help as a big insulator. So at this point, as long as you're paying attention, it's really hard to burn the stuff you're putting in. So once again, have no fear, it's gonna be okay. Garlic and onion powders. Yeah, I can't believe I don't have any onion powder. It's so embarrassing. I need to just like pick some up. I find that it gets too clumpy so quickly. Is this? That's white pepper. Is this? That's onion powder. This is the roommate's onion powder. It's fine. Oh, I see. I do want to do okra in a roux. So I do want to do okra. I would say that for this, that in gumbo, the roux is such an important part of the flavor that if you're not making it with the roux, I don't know what to tell you. I think you're missing out on the most important part of the dish. Thickener or otherwise, you know? But okra, I do fucking like okra and should try this with okra sometime. But it's not the easiest thing to find around here necessarily. So, c'est la vie. Okay, it looks like we're at this nice place where we have lots of steam coming up. And now, time for one of the best ingredients. Say it with me, everybody. Beer! This is my favorite local amber ale, Henderson's Best. Shout outs to Henderson Brewery. Yeah, awesome. So good. We're gonna use about like just over a half of this can. So not quite all of it, but also a good amount of it too. The carbonation from the can is gonna help sort of keep things light and moving, which is really important for getting all your liquid incorporated here. Our roux is very thick. We are gonna reduce the beer a little bit, but keep in mind that beer is mostly not alcohol, right? It's like 5% alcohol by volume, so you don't have to cook it out like you would with like a penne vodka or like a wine and a sauce, right? This is also kind of just gonna be a lot of great flavor. And I think that amber here is really good for reinforcing the flavors of the roux without trying to fight with the flavors of the roux. So you could probably use a stout or a porter, but I would say that then you're verging onto like a very sweet territory. And I want when I want the flavor of the gumbo, I want to achieve the sensation of sweetness in as slow a process as possible. So this is gonna develop some sweetness, not through even caramelization, but just through long-term reduction of the sugars in like the vegetables, etc., etc. So that's sort of what I'm concerned about here. And I would say that, you know, in the same way that the green bell peppers are a good way to slow down the process of developing those sugars, I think that a nice amber ale, I maybe wouldn't do like an IPA. I think that citrus note is gonna throw you off a bunch. Yes, our ramen place does the whole okra. It's so good. Oh, they always have it at No Frills? God damn, I should get into it. Oh yeah, Dad, you should have some okra with us sometime. That ramen place is so good. Alright, so now the beer is pretty fully incorporated. You can see still it's very thick, but we do have like it's a stew texture, right? We are of course going to cook off all of our chicken in here. So let's get that going. Boom, and boom, and boom, and boom, and boom, and boom. It's getting pretty full. Ah, it'll be so good. It's gonna be so good, guys. In case you're wondering, this stream is going to be a two-parter. So I'll be putting the stream back up around like probably between like 6 and 6:30 to show you what this looks like after it's done its like 3-hour simmer. Alright, that's about good. And now we're gonna sort of size it up using our remaining chicken stock in that pot there. And the reason that a Dutch oven is so good for this is because it has a nice heavy lid, so you can sort of control. You can sort of treat this as like an old school pressure cooker, but with a lot of control over exactly how much pressure you're choosing to keep in. So keep that in mind. All right, so now we got our nice, awesome reduced chicken, like drippings bouillon here. And I do think we're gonna add a little more water. I think we'll add a little more water. Yeah, just a little more. You see we're just about covering here, but it is going to reduce over time, so I'd rather have a bit too much water than not enough. Because a bit too much water, I can always sort of like speed up the reduction, leave the lid off for like half an hour in the middle, and it'll reduce a lot quicker that way. But adding too little water is gonna end up with scorching, uneven cooking, and braising, and that will lead you into a lot of trouble as well. So let's get a little more. So I think we're closer to 4 cups of water than 3 here, for those keeping score at home. So about a cup of beer and about 4 cups of water slash stock slash whatever you got. Oval shaped Dutch oven. Yeah, I love this thing. It's so cheap, but it's been so good to me. I really love it. I kind of wish I had one that was a size up. As you can see here, I'm cooking for like 5 in leftovers, and it's a little, I'm pretty much maxed out. I would not want to go higher than this in my pot. And I'm going to be adding in the sausage later as well. The chicken is going to shrink down as it cooks, etc. Lots of stuff to consider. So I'm going to sort of like look for a burble here, and then start easing it down, get the lid half covered, and then that is part 1 of the gumbo. That is the hard part for the gumbo. I got a couple bubbles, but we're gonna get a little more action first. I'm gonna go another big pinch of salt, and I'm gonna go another big crack of pepper as well. And that's just to make me feel good. And you can see there's a lot of material it's working through, and it is a thicker liquid, even though it looks like water right now, but there's so much flour and roux in there. The liquid is thicker than normal, but we're still waiting for that very pleasant little bubble, and then we'll get that lid 90% coverage, and then we're good to go. And by good to go, I mean go walk away for 3 hours, basically. All right. Oh yeah, I might as well get these chopped up now and put them aside. A little bowl for my scallions. Only cooking pan is a big wok. You see, that's the thing that I wish I had access to here. I want just like one awesome nice wok. But yeah, big Dutch oven, I mean, like, I really like this one because I've had it for a while. I've been thinking of upgrading, but it's like this one is just so perfectly fine that it's like hard to convince yourself, like, you know what, she still works, and with this one I've got all my beautiful memories that I treasure and cherish. So it's you know, it can be hard to convince yourself to move on, but you also, do you need to? But getting one is awesome. I recommend getting one for sure. This is a great technique for getting a bunch of scallions all over the counter and shit. If you want to do it this way, it's very fun. Yeah, so basically, now we're in the burble stage, and the only other things that are gonna get added into this pot. Oh my god, pardon me. About a half hour out from finish, we're gonna put on our rice. And then when that happens, I'm gonna toss in the kielbasa, or whatever smoked sausage you have available. And then if you're doing shrimp, the shrimp are gonna go in like the last 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you want your shrimp texture to be. Dutch oven is really good for things as stews and things with meat. Also for baking bread at home, if you wanna make like really nice bread, a Dutch oven can be really helpful to sort of help double regulate the temperature for any home baking applications. That is the reason it was called the Dutch oven was because it was meant to act as a miniature oven on like a campfire, right? So it was meant to be a similarly heat-controlled enclosed chamber, and it was designed for making bread. And if you're at home on a conventional oven, getting this preheated in your conventional oven and then having like double chamber of like, now I know that my interior temperature, I'm gonna trap steam and I'm gonna have a very consistent temperature. It's gonna help make like sourdough rise good, etc. So a Dutch oven does have a good amount of uses at the home. See, this level of burble, I got a couple different things moving around. I'm not even quite at a simmer, but as I put the lid on and the heat builds up again, I will approach a simmer. So this is the point where I'm gonna turn it down to like 3. I'm gonna put this puppy on with like 90% coverage. That's about perfect, right? And that's what I love about the oval too. The oval allows you to do that. It's so easy, so great. I love you, KitchenAid Dutch oven. I love you so much. Okay, and I love you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching part 1 of the gumbo. And yeah, come join me in like, let's see, what time is it? 3:30 on the dot. Join me in like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, and I'll show you how we finish off with some kielbasa and some rice, and we'll toss in some scallions, and we'll show you how we played it up. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. First time joiners, second or third or fourth or 10th time joiners. Feast mode activated. #hungry. Feed me more.com.